Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. I don't know about you, but I've always been fascinated by how romantic stories handle character development, like after the couple gets together.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we get so invested in the whole will they, won't they
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, so then what? What happens next?
Yeah, it is a very tricky balance to strike
Exactly.
because, I mean, real life doesn't just end with a kiss and fade to black.
Right.
So our stories shouldn't either.
And that's what makes today's deep dive so interesting.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at an interview with the author and the
Yeah.
lead actor from that film trilogy,
Mm.
the one based on those super popular books.
Yeah. I think we all know the one.
I think so too.
Right.
But here's the thing. What's so interesting about this particular interview is they're talking about the second film
Okay.
where the main couple, Nick and Noah, are already together.
Right.
Like they're already an established couple.
Gotcha.
So how do you keep the drama going?
Yeah.
How do you keep people interested?
Yeah, how do you keep that tension up when the will they, won't they is kind of gone?
Yeah, and the author actually admits right away that this was the hardest part to write,
Oh,
both in the books and for the screenplay.
wow.
But they had a really cool solution.
Okay.
It basically said they just started like sowing chaos everywhere.
Sowing chaos everywhere.
Yeah, just like throwing wrenches into the works.
Interesting. So they didn't shy away from conflict?
No, they leaned right in.
Okay.
But what's really cool is that it's not just drama for drama's sake.
Right.
The author very intentionally introduced external conflicts,
Mm-hmm.
misunderstandings,
Okay.
things that are often driven by secondary characters.
Interesting. So it's not just the couple fighting with each other.
No, not really.
It's more like the world is against them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I like that.
It's like they took this happy apple and threw them into a pressure cooker,
Right.
and suddenly the stakes are higher,
Yeah.
the obstacles are way more complex,
Right.
and as viewers, we're still on the edge of our seats.
Of course.
But now it's not about whether they'll end up together.
Right.
It's, can they survive all of this?
Yeah. Can they survive these new trials together as a couple?
Yeah, and I think a big part of that survival involves going deeper into Nick's character.
Oh, okay.
The author specifically mentioned wanting to showcase more of his private side in this film.
Yeah. I mean, we only got a glimpse of that in the first one.
Right. Exactly.
So it makes sense that they'd want to explore that further.
And it's not even just about seeing his vulnerable side.
Right.
The author talks about contrasting Nick's inner thoughts and struggles
Okay.
with this like guarded persona that he presents to the world.
It's like we're going beyond the surface.
Yes.
Peeling back the layers to see the man behind the mask.
Exactly. And that contrast, I think, is so crucial for creating a well-rounded character.
Oh, for sure.
It reminds us that even those we think we know
Yeah.
can still surprise us.
Absolutely.
And some of those surprises come from the supporting characters,
Oh, interesting.
like Nick's best friend, Victor.
Right. Right.
The author actually calls out specific scenes between them
Okay.
that reveal a side of Nick we haven't really seen before.
You know, it's funny because I was rewatching the first film recently, and I was struck by how little we actually know about Nick.
Yeah.
Like, we see him through Noah's eyes for the most part,
Right.
but we don't really get a sense of who he is outside of that relationship.
It's like he's this enigma.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the second film starts to unravel that mystery a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
which is where the whole forbidden love aspect comes in.
All right.
It adds another layer of complexity.
Because even though they're already a couple,
Yeah.
societal expectations,
Yeah.
external forces, they're
Yeah.
still working against them.
It makes you think about how real-life relationships are right.
Totally.
It's not always easy.
Yeah, you're going to hit bumps in the road.
No matter how in love you are or how committed you are,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
world doesn't always make it easy.
And it's those bumps that force you to grow,
Right.
make tough choices.
And that's what Nick has to do in this film.
It's like a trial by fire for their relationship.
And speaking of fire,
Okay.
the author actually describes the ending of this film
Mm-hmm.
as one of their favorite endings they've ever written.
Really? Wow, that's saying something.
Right.
I mean, they've written a lot of books.
A lot of books.
A lot of endings.
Exactly.
So for them to say that this one stands out,
Yeah.
that's pretty significant.
They talk about wanting to create a dramatic finale,
Okay.
something that would just like leave the audience wanting more.
Mm-hmm. Keep them on the edge of their seats.
They even said, and I quote, "I wanted them to cry."
Oh, wow. So they were really going for the emotional gut punch.
Yeah, they wanted to evoke a strong reaction from the viewers.
Clearly.
And I think they achieve that
Yeah.
by really weaving together multiple storylines, character arcs, unexpected twists.
Like it all comes together so seamlessly.
It does, even with so many characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many misunderstandings.
Right, because you could easily get lost in all of that.
Oh, for sure.
But they managed to keep everything flowing and engaging.
And it's not just for shock value.
Right.
It's all very intentionally orchestrated.
Yeah, to heighten the tension.
Yeah, to create that emotional depth.
It's really impressive.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's clear that the author was very aware of the challenges of creating a story that goes beyond that initial honeymoon phase.
Yeah, because it's easy to fall into a rut.
Totally.
Once the will they, won't they is resolved.
Like you said earlier, it's easy for things to become predictable or stagnant.
Exactly.
But they avoided that here.
They did.
And they even admitted
That's that.
that they get bored when things are too smooth.
Oh, so they need that drama.
They need the drama.
The chaos.
The chaos.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, their books are known for their twists and turns. Exactly. And it's that willingness to embrace the messiness of relationships that makes their work so relatable.
For sure. Because, let's face it,
Yeah.
real life is rarely a fairy tale.
Never.
Right. Love is beautiful,
Uh-huh.
but it's also complicated,
Oh, yeah.
messy.
It's not always pretty.
And I think it's refreshing to see a story that acknowledges that
Totally agree.
that honesty,
Yeah.
that willingness to explore the nuances of human experience.
It resonates.
It does, because it
It-
feels real,
Yeah.
authentic.
It feels true. But even with all the drama and complexity, there's this lingering tension
Okay.
that I think carries over into the third film.
What do you mean?
Well, the author specifically mentions that the sexual tension between Nick and Noah, it like reemerges,
Oh, interesting.
which of course leaves us wanting more.
Right, of course.
But it also raises an interesting question
Okay, I'm listening.
about the nature of relationships. you know?
Yeah.
Like even after finding each other, committing to a shared journey,
Right.
there's still this underlying tension.
Yeah, makes you think.
So what does that tell us about love and desire?
Right.
Is it just human nature?
Maybe it's a reminder that relationships are always evolving.
Okay.
You know, there will always be challenges and obstacles to overcome.
Even after the honeymoon phase.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's something deeper.
Like what?
Like even in the most committed relationships, there's a part of us that yearns for something more.
Yeah, that yearning for the unknown,
That's a good way to put it.
the unattainable, maybe. It's definitely food for thought.
And I think it speaks to the author's skill in crafting a story that not only entertains,
Yeah.
but also makes us think.
Provokes those deeper conversations.
Exactly. It's not just about escaping into a fantasy world.
Yeah.
It's about engaging with the complexities of human experience.
And leaving the audience with questions.
Questions that linger, long after the story is over. Exactly. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
but there's one final question
Okay.
that the author poses in the interview.
Okay, what is it?
They ask, what does Culpa Tuya have that Culpa Mia doesn't? And their answer is simply maturity.
Maturity.
Just maturity.
Okay.
It's amazing, though, how much that one word encapsulates.
It does, right?
It speaks to the evolution of the characters,
Uh-huh.
their growth through all these trials,
Right.
their deepening understanding of themselves and each other.
Yeah, it's not just about the external stuff.
Exactly.
It's about the internal shifts as well.
It's about how we handle those challenges, you know?
Like, it's not just about aging.
Right.
It's about how you deal with the curveballs life throws at you.
True maturity comes from facing those difficulties head on
Exactly.
and emerging stronger on the other side.
That's the real takeaway here.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
I agree.
It's not just about picking apart a love story. You know?
Yeah.
It's about understanding the human condition.
The complexities of relationships,
Yeah.
the power of personal growth.
And it reminds us that even stories centered around romance can offer these profound
They
insights
can.
into ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely.
So if happy endings aren't always the end of the story,
Right.
what does that tell us about love?
About commitment.
About personal growth?
Yeah, what are those challenges that couples face even after they've found each other?
And how do those challenges shape who they become?
Both individually and as a couple.
Those are questions worth thinking about,
Yeah.
not just in the context of this film.
But in our own lives, too.
Think about a time when your own relationship faced an unexpected challenge. Did it bring you closer together?
Or push you apart?
Was it something you could have predicted?
From the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, because ultimately, it's the journey that matters most.
The
It's
journey.
those moments of struggle.
Facing the unknown together.
That's where we truly discover who we are.
And what we're capable of.
And that's a story worth exploring.
It is.
Until next time, keep diving deep.